Witamy Państwa
Welcome.
na kolejnym seminarium
We'd like to
Forum
welcome you
Rozwoju Lokalnego.
to
Łukasz
yet
Dąbrówka
another
i
seminar
Tomasz
of the
Kaiser. Dzień dobry.
Local Development Forum.
Dzisiejszy temat szwajcarskie
Łukasz
podejście do
Dobrówka and
partycypacji
Tomasz
mieszkańców,
Kaiser.
włączanie
Today's
lokalnej
topic is a
społeczności w
Swiss approaches
podejmowanie
to
decyzji
citizen
istotnych
participation
dla
and
miejsc
empowering
prawa.
communities in political
Szanowni
decision
Państwo,
making.
nasze spotkanie jest
Ladies and
tradycyjnie
gentlemen, our
tłumaczone na
meeting
polski
is,
język migowy.
as usually,
Jest realizowane w
translated
ramach
into Polish Sign Language
polsko-szwajcarskiego programu
and
miast.
is carried out within the framework of the Polish-Swiss Town Development Program by the Polish Cities Association with the framework of the Polish project as a component predefined support for the towns in effective use of the Polish-Swiss collaboration program. The meeting is translated into Polish Sign Language. Tomasz, what do we expect from this meeting? I think it's a very interesting topic. It's the first time that we have a broad scope of different experiences from our partners from Switzerland. So things that we do not, we do associate with Switzerland, because participation is something that is a trademark of Switzerland. Is deliberative, participative approach, subsidiarity. So the belief that the state is supposed to help, assist the residents, not to praise them. So they were going to speak about enhancing the participation of the citizens in the decision making, which is, especially now, a very important political priority, because this is the basis of a democratic state. But also from the perspective of city management, we know that participation is a necessary requirement to manage a city in an efficient, effective way. Today we're going to draw from the experience of Swiss experts and representatives of the cities who are going to present different interesting participation-based solutions in planning the development of the cities, climate and energy solutions, or modernization of buildings. In the first part of the seminar, we're going to have a broader perspective of the Swiss participation model. We're going to discuss more deliberative democracy by using more and more popular citizen panels, also more popular in Poland. In the second part, we're going to proceed with discussing different Swiss cities, Zurich, Carouge, Thun, and from their perspective, we're going to see how locally the city authorities use different techniques and methods of participation to identify the initiatives suggested by the residents, include them in the mainstream policy of the city. Being able to use the help of experts and the residents to introduce city policies. And I believe that this is a topic where we can learn a lot from our very experienced partners. So, ladies and gentlemen, please let's open the seminar. We have the head of the Division of Assistance Programs and Projects in the area of institutional development in the Department of Assistance Programs of the Ministry of Funds and Regional Policy, Ms. Katarzyna Zbrojkiewicz-Zamęcka. So the floor is yours. Good morning. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you. I'd like to welcome all the participants in the forum. I'm sure it is a well-known platform for debate between local government, the central government, and experts. The platform has been developed for a number of years, and we as the Ministry of Funds and Regional Policy are very happy to participate in it. The Local Development Forum has been already active within the scope of different programs. This time, the time has come for the Polish-Swiss Program for Development of Towns, and the Swiss experiences will be something that we refer to in the following meetings. Especially, I would like to welcome the representatives of middle-sized towns who applied for the participation in this Polish-Swiss program. We still need more time to evaluate their applications, but together with ENCO Urban Plan, the Swiss consortium, our partner, would like to invite you in the forums, to participate in the forums, and the entire educational offer of the Polish Association of Cities, which is available on the website of the association. We would like you to waste this time that is needed for us to evaluate the programs. We don't want you to lose the opportunities to receive support from the Swiss program. That's why the association is going to work hard to provide you with the best educational possibilities as usual. Today's topic is devoted to participation, as just as my predecessors have already said, Switzerland is famous for introducing these kind of tools. But for us, it is a very important element of the Polish-Swiss program for development of towns. So I wish you many interesting thoughts and a lot of new inspirations. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Right now, we'd like to pass the floor to the head of the ENCO Urban Plan Consortium, Ms. Maren Korman, who is the head of the ENCO AG and the coordinator, facilitator of the program.
Thank you very much. Yes, also from my side, welcome to this exciting seminar. My name is Maren Kornmann. I'm the team leader of this Swiss support measure partner in the Development of Towns program in Poland, and I represent this consortium of the two companies, ENCO and Urbanplan. And our mandate for the next years is to support the APC by providing Swiss expertise and making good examples from Switzerland available to you, to the Polish cities. This topic for today, it's about
Dzisiejszy temat dotyczy partycypacji.
Well established in Switzerland already, and we will hear more about it later also in the introduction of the topic. But however, this long tradition of participation is mainly through voting and also basic democratic processes when it comes to the element of decision making. So as far as the involvement of the population already in the development and design and implementation of measures is concerned, this is also for us a relatively new topic, but we already have some experiences to show. I'm therefore very pleased that we will be presented with various very exciting examples from Swiss cities today. Many thanks also from my side to all the speakers, and I wish you and us all much inspiration. Thank you very much.
And now I would like to pass the floor to the director of the Office of the Association of Polish Cities, Mr. Andrzej Porawski. The floor is yours. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Today we have a good day for a number of reasons. One of them is of a broader astronomical scale. It's the first day of spring today. And within, as far as I know, the spring, astronomical spring is going to start within a quarter or so. Our next seminar in the Polish-Swiss program for development of towns is focused on something that, as has already been mentioned, is a particular feature of Switzerland, but not the only one. The Association of Polish Cities has quite a well-established tradition, we can say dating back to the previous century, tradition of collaborating with the Swiss local governments. And within the scope of this collaboration, we have learned a lot and became convinced that the Swiss experiences in local management are very interesting from our perspective, not only with regard to the topic we discussed today, participatory democracy, but also efficient, effective management, for example, of communal policy. I was fascinated personally with the manner in which the Swiss have solved the problem of waste management. Also, not only those proceeding from housing, but also the industrial ones. Within one system, very effective, very well organized. And the reason why the system is so good are the Alps, the Swiss Alps. The Swiss decided that the Alps should always be beautiful and always clean. And that's why they organized this system of waste management, that this beauty and this cleanliness, purity, is still absolutely evident. And this is just one of many examples. Whereas different forms of participatory democracy that will be presented today are something that we also try to introduce in our practice. Although undoubtedly it is the Swiss who are the world champions in this area, and there is lots of interesting things that we're going to learn today. And this is something I wish to every one of you and myself as well, opening this seminar. Thank you.
Dziękujemy bardzo.
Thank you very much. Yes, without further ado, I believe that we can go on. Thank you very much for welcoming all the participants. We know it's quite many of them. We're very happy that this topic is so interesting. And our first speaker will be Ms. Caroline Huvila, who works in ENCO, a Swiss consulting company that specializes in energy and climate issues. Caroline has participated in many Swiss and international projects, engaging different stakeholders from various areas of life. Caroline has also played her role in the creation of the Swiss Smart City Hub, which produces strategies for the future development of the cities. And today she's going to present from a broader perspective how the Swiss decision-making system works. She's going to present different forms of engaging residents that might be used at the local level. Caroline, please.
Thank you very much. I hope you see my screen correctly. I'm trying to make that transition of our Swiss Alps that we try to keep clean.
Caroline.
Yes.
Jest tryb prezentera, widzimy. Nie widzimy pełnego ekranu.
We don't see the full screen of your presentation. At the beginning, it was better. So could you go back? We see the slide and the notes.
Oh, okay.
Najlepiej wyłączyć i jeszcze raz włączyć udostępnianie.
Maybe you could please try to. Oh, now it's good. Now it's good.
Okay.
Już było dobrze.
I don't see my notes anymore.
It was better before.
Było dobrze. Jeszcze raz teraz.
So maybe once again.
Mm-hmm.
Tak, tutaj. Jest dobrze. Jest dobrze, jest dobrze.
Yes, now it's okay. It's fine.
Jest dobrze.
Yes.
Nie, teraz znowu jest
No, it's once again. We see the a different presenting mode.
Okay.
Znowu
Can we do it like this?
Maybe now it will be better. Is it okay?
We can go like this.
Okay. Excellent. So, let me go back. I'm sorry for this. So I have been asked, and thank you very much for the chance to provide a short introduction to the webinar topic by providing an overview on how citizen participation works in Switzerland and what exactly that means. What levels and forms of participation are used to get multiple stakeholders and in particular citizens involved in planning and decision-making at national and local levels. But to understand the culture of participation in Switzerland, a little bit of history will be needed. Imagine a family of 26 cousins, each with their own unique way of doing things. One loves tradition, another seeks for innovation. Some are more independent, and others prefer teamwork. They speak different languages, they practice different customs, and even have different laws. Yet, despite their differences, they want to stay united and therefore have to figure out how. Indeed, Swiss history is full of regional tensions, religious conflicts, and power struggles. For centuries, communities resisted central control, preferring to govern themselves. But instead of forcing unity under one rule, Switzerland created 26 cantons, where each of them retains a high level of autonomy, but cooperates on national issues like defense and foreign policy. You can imagine these cantons like regions. Indeed, each canton has its own government, regulation, for example, on education, on healthcare, or on local law enforcement. And even some of them have their own constitution, but all have a voice in national decisions. This federalist system may not always be fast. Imagine Switzerland has introduced the right to vote for women in 1971, whereas in Poland, women have the right to vote since 1918, more than 50 years before. Indeed, for any change to happen in Switzerland, a majority of all 26 cousins and their children and grandchildren need to agree to it. And there are many of them. Indeed, Switzerland has around 2,100 municipalities with important degrees of autonomy as well. They manage community services, urban planning, mobility, and infrastructure, and you mentioned it before, waste management. Since the country has historically grown like a community of interest, especially commercial interests, by embracing progressively regions from neighboring countries, Switzerland has today 4 linguistic regions with Swiss German, French, Italian and Romansh speaking areas. Now imagine that all 26 cousins have different tastes, culinary backgrounds, some more liberal with seasoning, others more conservative with portions, but they must work together to prepare a meal everyone will enjoy. They debate, they negotiate, and finally agree on a balanced recipe. Indeed, no single chef dominates. Instead, they govern by shared leadership, making sure no one leaves the table hungry or angry. But how did they manage to do so? Well, instead of delegating all decisions to elected officials, Switzerland has decided to come up with a consensus-based governance known as the concordance system. But what is this? Basically, our parliament and government reflect both the country's territorial federalism, as we saw before, the 26 cantons, and also the diversity of political parties. Indeed, you can look at it like this. Our parliament has 2 chambers, the National Council with 200 seats assigned to cantonal representatives based on their number of inhabitants, and the Council of States with 2 seats per canton, 1 per half canton. Now, the Swiss government, or Federal Council as we name it, comprises 7 members who represent the 4 major political parties to reflect diversity and guarantee stability. But the Swiss wanted more than just vote for their representatives every few years. They wanted to have a continuous say in major political decisions. They wanted a direct democracy, a system where power truly rests in the hands of the people. So they created 3 different mechanisms that allow them to participate actively in decision-making. First of all, the referendum. It is a way for citizens to contest and vote on a decision made by our parliament. Indeed, if 50,000 citizens sign a petition within 100 days, the contested law must be put to a national vote. Then there is the popular initiative. at national levels for citizens who want to introduce a completely new law or amend the constitution. They can collect 100,000 signatures in form of a petition within 18 months. And this proposal must then be put to a national vote. And if the majority of voters and cantons approves it, it becomes law, regardless of the parliament's opinion. And finally, these two instruments that I just presented, they also exist at the local level. Switzerland's cantons and municipalities also use referendums or initiatives, allowing local population to shape their communities on a variety of topics, ranging from urban development projects to public transport plans or even school reforms. Now, while some citizens are actually very proud to vote and to do so up to 5 times a year, well, others, they don't. Decisions are sometimes highly complex, and some people get frustrated by the complexity of the decisions to be made. Others are simply a little bit lazy. For some reason, it's not. And some miss the deadlines of voting, and others simply don't care. So we do have not always a very high participation rate in our voting system. Now, some of the people who are maybe not actively participating in the formal and institutionalized channels of participation, they might care more if the decision is clearly affecting their daily lives, their municipality, their neighborhood, their community. Indeed, over the last 20 years, more or less, new forms of participation have arisen. Today, we can distinguish between different levels and forms of participation, way beyond consultation, depending on the degree of stakeholder involvement. Let's try to look at some of them more closely. We can imagine participation like building a house together. Some people are consulted about the design, others are invited to help plan, and the majority of them will be part of the actual construction. Indeed, citizen participation exists on a spectrum, ranging from receiving information to actively shaping decisions. Let's try to explore 5 key forms of participation. First of all, information. The most basic level of participation, where authorities provide citizens with information about decisions or policies. For example, the Swiss government publishes detailed reports and newsletters and posts on social media about upcoming referendums, ensuring citizens as well, ensuring that citizens are well informed before voting. Then there is consulting. Citizens in this case are invited to share their views, but the final decisions remain within the decision-making authorities. For example, when the city of Geneva planned to modernize its public transport system, it conducted surveys and public meetings to gather citizen feedback before making final decisions. A third form is involvement. Here, citizens take a more active role by discussing and shaping policies. However, ultimate authority remains again with the government. For example, in Lausanne, residents were engaged in discussions about urban green spaces, allowing them to influence decisions about park locations and features. And there's a fourth level of participation, which is collaboration. Here, the citizens are officials, the citizens and officials actually work together hand in hand as partners to find solutions and design policies. For example, Swiss municipalities often use participatory budgets And we know that in Poland as well, these participatory budgeting options are introduced progressively, where residents discuss and propose how portions of public funds should be allocated to community projects. And finally, the ultimate form of participation is co-creation. And as the word says, it's a collective creation. It's the collective design of projects. And it's already the collective reflection on the challenges that need to be overcome through these policies to be designed. So it's the highest level of participation where citizens and authorities share power to make decisions together. In Zurich, for instance, large-scale urban redevelopment projects have been designed in close collaboration between citizens working alongside planners and policymakers to ensure that public needs shape the final outcome. These different levels of participation now illustrate how governance is not just about officials making decisions, but about engaging citizens in shaping their communities and their future. We will now explore, through the presentations of my colleagues, some very concrete and practical examples of how citizen participation in public decision-making actually works. Thank you very much.
Caroline, bardzo dziękujemy za pokazanie, podzielenie się tą praktyką.
Thank you very much, Caroline, for showing it, for sharing this particular dimension that we believe plays a particularly important role in the way how the society reacts. And I'm happy that you mentioned that there are different reactions from the residents, that not all of them are so happy about it. And these are the challenges we have to face with regard to this particular forum, with this particular way of operating. But at the same time, we co-create certain elements despite challenges. Thank you very much for listening to the first presentation. We have received the first questions on the chat, and we've transferred them to our experts. We definitely invite everyone to ask questions, because soon we're going to proceed with by passing the floor to another expert we have invited for another presentation. And after these two presentations, I hope Caroline and the other speakers will provide us with answers to the questions, because after the second presentation, we'll have a short Q&A session, should there be more questions. Right now, thank you very much. We'd like to invite you, Christian.
Temat demokracja deliberatywna oparta na panelach obywatelskich, czyli tak naprawdę
Christiana Missirabu, who will discuss the topic of deliberative democracy through citizens' assemblies. Christian, I'm very happy to have you, and I believe that this particular tool, citizen panels, is a very important way of working on the citizen engagement deliberative democracy.
Oh, yes, it is. Thank you very much for giving me the floor. I'm very happy to be with everyone this morning. So I am a lead facilitator of citizen assemblies, and I facilitate 12 different citizen assemblies in Switzerland at municipal, cantonal, and national level, and in Bosnia-Herzegovina at national level. And I am on a project for the city of Sarajevo, but I'll come back to that. So let me share now the slides that I want to show you. There we are. Okay, so deliberative democracy through citizen assemblies. I would say to build on what Caroline just said, that citizen assemblies are at the collaborative level, can go to the co-decisional level, but it's mainly at collaborative level. And how do you organize a citizen assembly? That's the reason for my intervention today. First, you have to settle an organization group. it's a partnership between authorities concerned, would it be at local, municipal, regional, national level, depending the scope of the citizen assembly. Then you would have organizers who would take care of all the technical and financial and logistical topics. You have coordinators who will coordinate the preparation of the citizen assembly and the lead facilitator. And we could say that citizen assembly and deliberative democracy as such is not there to replace the political bodies. It's a complement to political bodies, a complement to citizen votes on multiple subjects. And the aim is to inform the authorities on citizen ideas and proposals regarding important thematics that political have to deal with. I would say it is really important to include the lead facilitator from the very beginning of the project, because the organization group will be key to make the citizen assembly a success. They have first to decide of the remit and the main topic that will be discussed during the assembly. Then they have to formulate the key questions to which the citizens will have to answer. For instance, what can we do in our city to face the climate change, for instance, in terms of mobility, in terms of air quality, in terms of green space, and etc. You know, it can be quite wide, but it has to be clearly made. Then the group will also choose external experts who will come to help citizens understand the topics they're discussing about. Because of course, citizens are not specialized in all these subjects, and it is important that we give a certain level of learning on what they're going to discuss. The group will also address the budget matter, and it can be quite costly to organize a citizen assembly, so we have to have people to take care of that. And this group will also address the recruitment of citizens, the recruitment process. Just to tell you that to organize a citizen assembly, you need a delay of about 2 to 3 months. I mean, it's not something that you can organize in a moment or in a week or two. So let me speak about the recruitment of the citizen, because this is really important, and each one had a specific role. So the authorities have to produce a list of citizens. It can be several thousand citizens, depending the scope of the citizen assembly. For Sarajevo, for instance, which I'm going to facilitate in May this year, there were about 3,000 people contacted for a selection of 80 participants. So how does it go? The authorities will send an invitation letter to participate, and this invitation letter will have a questionnaire to have the profile of the citizens. I will explain why we need to have their profile. So normally, the minimum we want to have gender, the age, the place of residence, the educational level, and the professional situation, meaning employed, unemployed, students, and etc. Why do we need to have this information? It's because this, what we call the mini panel of citizens, they have to represent the population of the city, meaning that the percentage of young people, the percentage of elderly, well-educated, less educated, it has to be the voice of the population. So when we receive the positive answer from the population, normally we receive about 10 to 15% of positive answer. So it can be hundreds of people. Then we have a logiciel which helps select at random the citizens to ensure this representativeness of the population. And then we get to the famous, for Sarajevo, 80 people who will be involved. Okay, sorry, I have a problem with my my computer, the screening sharing has disappeared. So, gosh, that's not a good news. Excuse me for a moment. Yes, that it came back. You know, that's the technical issues we can have with the online. So, the before the events, in terms of facilitation, and this takes place at least 1 month, 1 month and a half before the event. The lead facilitator will design the process and the various activities. So we will propose a detailed agenda to organization group, and we will discuss and validate the detailed agenda. The choice of the method is important because we need to adapt the method to the number of participants, the type of participant, to the time devoted to the citizen assembly, which is normally about 3 weekends, and of course the goal of the citizen assembly. Then we are creating the visual and printed material like PowerPoint, drawings, videos, printed questions and instruction for each activity. The list of equipment required for the facilitation, projectors, computers, microphone, translation if needed. And the lead facilitator will train the co-facilitators, which are for each table. For instance, in Sarajevo, 80 people will have 8 co-facilitators, and I will train them on the methods and the group dynamic management, which is also important because sometimes you may have conflict resolution to address. You want to ensure inclusiveness and participation of everyone. So how goes an agenda of a citizen assembly? First, we have this part, group cohesion and working rules. Group cohesion is really important because there are very diverse profiles in the room because it's all citizens, they don't know each other. And but they will have to work together for these 3 weekends and decide together. So we take at least the first hour just to create the group cohesion. And then the working rules, we want the participant to set the working rule with the type of questions. What rules should we follow so that you will be comfortable during the all sessions? These rules are also very important to manage potential tensions or conflicts during the citizen assembly. Then we have the learning on the subject. Like I said before, citizens have to learn on the subject. So the selection of experts is really important and is done by the organization group. We have to select the relevant experts and to brief them on what is expected. I mean, we don't want to have, for instance, scientists giving presentation on high-level sciences so that participants will not understand. So they will have to have this capacity to express a complex topic in a simple manner so that the participant will really have key informations to discuss and decide. After each presentation of experts, we leave a time for questions and answers so that participants can really deepen a little more in the subjects. And also very important, after the question and answer, we organize group work for the participant to decide which are the key information they want to retain that can be useful for their next work, which will be on recommendation. So this part, group cohesion, working rule, and learning on the subject is normally taking the first weekend completely. Then we have what I usually call the production moment. It's really when the citizens are suggesting recommendation, they will deliberate, prioritize, decide, and vote. So let me explain you a little bit more what we say about that. Ahead of time, we've decided how many recommendations we want to end with. Why do we do that? I had an experience in a climate forum in Geneva with 50 people, and we didn't limit the number of recommendations. So we ended up with 120 recommendations. So you can imagine the city of Geneva having to deal with so many recommendations. It took them more than 1 year to send a recommendation to all the different services so they can give a clear answer on what will be done with the recommendation. So we're limiting the recommendation to 5 to 10 recommendations per subject, meaning that you have a thematic area, which is global, like climate, and you have thematic areas, which can be mobility, heating and cooling, or green spaces, and etc. So we have 5 to 10 recommendations per topic, normally about 4 to 5 topics. Then we will deliberate in the group. This is group works to make the recommendation, and in the group, they're already deliberating, giving argument about the proposal they want to put forward. And this is the table facilitators who are dealing with that type of deliberation. Then after, we have to prioritize, because when we go back in the plenum, we show all the recommendations, and of course, there is much more than 5 to 10 per subject. So, excuse me, we will ask them, so we'll give them some methods, facilitation methods to help them prioritize with criteria that we build up together with them. Then we have the decision and voting part. And then again, there is a deliberation, but then it's a plenum deliberation with all the people together. And we go proposal after proposal, and we decide which one we're going to keep. Sometimes it's difficult because arguments for and against are coming up and people don't get to consensus. Then we go to a vote. Also important to say that it's not a vote like 49% for and 51% against. This is not enough. It's unsatisfactory. So in deliberation, we want to have a vote of 2/3 of people agreeing with the proposal. And if not 2/3 of people agreeing to the proposal, we can have a little more time of deliberation. Otherwise, it is not kept as a proposal. This is the second and most probably beginning of the third weekend. And then the third weekend, we have the writing of the final report. Also here it is important because for the other weekends, we've been working and make proposal, but we now have to write it in a very clear manner with a formulation that everyone can understand, even if they were not in the discussion during the citizen assembly, because we are handling that to the authorities and they have to understand from the very beginning what is the proposal. So we are writing the final report, and we ask the participant to justify the proposal, to justify the recommendation, beginning the phrase with "it is important." Yes?
Wait a minute, because we have to check that translation is going to ongoing.
Okay.
Give us a moment.
Yes, of course.
We are waiting for the update from the translation.
No worry. And you will tell me if I have to go back to something.
20 seconds before.
So you tell me when I can go on.
Jesteśmy już. Możemy? Bo chcieliśmy... Jesteśmy, możemy, Christine, możemy zacząć. Prośba o jakieś 15 sekund wcześniej. 2 zdania wcześniej.
I have only,
Please go back like 15, 20 seconds.
Okay, so I think I was speaking about the final report. So the importance of a clear recommendation, a clear formulation of recommendations. And I often say to the citizen, write it as if someone from the external public would read and understand immediately the recommendation, even if they did not participate to the citizen assembly. And also, I ask the people to justify their recommendation, beginning a phrase with "it is important because." So they give the recommendation and they justify the recommendation. And why we do that? It's because we are trying to convince the authorities that this is really important recommendation. It's not just, came out of the blue. There have been a lot of discussion, long discussions. So we want really the authorities to consider these proposals. What is the responsibility of the lead facilitator during the citizen assembly? To run smoothly a citizen assembly, we have to manage the group dynamic and facilitate their work. Facilitate their work by asking questions to help reflections, synthesizing the discussion. Sometimes we have to bring the participant back to the objective because they discuss parallel topics, but we have a limited time. So we really facilitate group dynamics. The lead facilitator will supervise and manage the table facilitator, and it will help citizens to produce good quality recommendations that will have a real impact. So we use participatory methods and we use good questions. This is the main tool of facilitator, is not to give ideas, is to ask the right question to help the people produce their own ideas. And when we are at plenum, we have to facilitate deliberation and decision making. So you can see the role of the lead facilitator from the very beginning of the organization group to this part when we are in the room. It means that the citizen assembly needs to have a professional facilitator who is not only a moderator of the discussion. Then when we have had the citizen assembly and we have the report and we handled the report to the authorities, then we will have a conclusion. In all the citizen assemblies I facilitated, we had a concluding assembly, which is a feedback from the authorities on the actions to be taken for each recommendation. This is prepared during the preparing phase. It is important to decide with the authorities what will be done with the recommendations. We have to decide it from the very beginning and what type of feedback will be given for the implementation of the recommendations. This is important because if they do not, yes, of course.
Excuse me, we want to
Yes,
be
please.
sure because from a few minutes. Przepraszam. Przepraszamy, chcemy sprawdzić, bo się nie zmieniają slajdy. Czy to cały czas jest ten
Yes,
slajd?
Christian, we haven't seen any change in the slides for the last quite a few minutes. Are you changing the slides, or maybe there has been some, maybe it's frozen for some reason? Just making sure. We still have the citizens' random choice slide in front of us.
Okay, this is very curious because on my screen it's okay. So let's go there.
No właśnie.
What do you have? Do you have the conclusion of the citizen assembly?
Yes, now we have it. Because all the rest was done without the slides in between.
Oh, that's very curious. You didn't show these ones.
Yes.
No, we didn't.
Dziękujemy.
Okay,
yes,
that's very
thank you.
And this one, did you see it?
No, we haven't.
Oh, wow.
Now we see as you changed them, but we didn't see them in the meantime.
Okay, it means there were a problem with the connection because yeah. All right, so I'm so sorry, but I think I hope what I said was clear enough. So we don't need to go back to it because we said they don't have time for that. All right. So I'm jumping to the conclusion of the citizen assembly. Like I said, it's important to decide. Very often citizens said at the very beginning, they said, but what will be done with our recommendation? And they are fearing that nothing will be done with it. That's why we negotiate with the authorities ahead of time what will be done and how they will respond to each one of the recommendations. So either they say, yes, this will be implemented, or yes, this is already in progress, or they say, no, we cannot implement it, but then they have to justify why they cannot implement it. Of course, it takes time for the authorities to answer to all the recommendations. So usually it's several months after the end of the citizen assembly that we convene of a concluding assembly and have the answer of the authorities on everything that was proposed. Very often we invite the medians because we want to have the biggest public to know about it, and we have a question and answer between the citizens that have been working and the authorities. And then it guarantees that something will be done with all the work that was produced by the citizens. Okay, so I'm stopping the sharing here. I'm sorry to the fact that it didn't show the image, but I think you have heard the essential of who and why we organize citizen assemblies.
Bardzo dziękujemy.
Thank you so much. Citizen assemblies are more and more popular in Poland. This is one of the more interesting forms of deliberative participation. So I believe that your experience is particularly valuable. Let me just add that the whole presentation will be available on the website of the Association of Polish Cities. So even if somebody has missed some of the content, don't worry. You will be able to go back to the slides in full. So thank you very much for these two presentations. And now I'd like to use the time and have a short Q&A session. As we informed before in the chat, we're collecting your questions and would now like our panelists to answer these questions. Some of the questions will not be answered because of time limitations, but we hope that the speakers may answer in the chat if there is no time to answer certain questions. So all the questions will be answered, some of them in the chat after this 15-minute long Q&A session. Right after, we're going to proceed with other presentations, and after them there will be another Q&A session. So we'd like to encourage you to use the chat to ask your questions via the chat, and these questions will soon be translated for our speakers to be answered. So we hope that this is the right form that will help to explain the things that you find interesting. We have a question to Ms. Caroline Huvila, mostly about the frequency, the participation, the turnover. How do you care of the turnover in Switzerland? For example, the lack of engagement, is it punished somehow? Is it encouraged to turn up, to use these instruments? One of the participants has said that seeing many people waiting in the rain to raise their hand, was it some sort of a tourist attraction, or is it really the way it works? Is it really how people approve or disapprove certain opinions? And what is the scale? What are the numbers of people engaged in social participation? So these are the questions to Caroline. And the question to Christian are much more detailed, but we'll answer them in a few minutes. So right now we'd like to invite Caroline to answer these questions. How do you work with the turnover? How do you encourage the residents? And is it true that so many people use this opportunity in Switzerland to participate in social life like this?
Thank you very much for these questions. I'll try to respond to both. One is the people in the rain raising their hands, and the other one is more, let's say, the channels that we use to get citizens mobilized. To the first question, it refers to the Landsgemeinde in Switzerland, where some cantons like Appenzell, for example, still have a very traditional way of getting citizen participation in practice, and it's basically by raising hands. So people would definitely unite at a public space, and they would vote or elect. So it's different options. We vote on subjects on decisions to be made, and we elect the executive government, for example, of the specific canton. This is not a generalized practice in Switzerland. It's some specific areas that still use this, especially in also in small cantons. And it's not a tourist attraction. It might be, but it is still a current practice. So that's my first response to that question. The other one is, I guess, a bit more general in terms of how we incentivize or even force people to get actually involved. There is no forcing. People are not being punished if they don't participate. Maybe they should be, because I would say sometimes we don't use the privilege that we have. I was looking at some of the numbers, and the average of participation in public voting is a little bit lower than 50%. So that means there's a large part of this population that doesn't vote, although they have the chance to vote up to 5 times a year. Now, what is being done in order to get people informed and to mobilize them? There are political parties that they do a very active job in obviously campaigning. There are interest groups and non-for-profit organizations who would inform their communities on their position in specific votations that are coming up. There are media campaigns, the traditional ones, newspapers, radio, TV. At TV, for example, especially in the, let's say, the news part, they try to have a very strict balance of different opinions to be to give it a space to be expressed. And then there is more and more also the social media, obviously, where a lot of information is circulating. There's community engagement, and I would say that's something that we all know in Switzerland, in the market, the local market area. There are people addressing you, coming, collecting signatures for petitions, either for initiative or for a referendum. So there's a lot of personal talking and exchanging ongoing to make this to make people participate. And there's sometimes also mailings that get to households, especially for the, let's say, the more kind of local initiatives. We've just been invited to express our opinion on how a public space in our neighborhood should be designed, and if we wanted to be part of the process. So this is a mail that we get to our household. So I would say these are probably the most frequent channels we use. And for the voting, every citizen gets an envelope with the possibility to actually vote by correspondence. And you have the possibility to go physically to the voting office, but you can also do that by correspondence.
Shall I go to...
Bardzo dziękuję. Christian, jeśli mogę prosić
Thank you
Ciebie
so much, Christian. Can I ask you to answer your questions about citizen assemblies? Because we have lots of detailed questions about budgets. How much does it cost? Through the way of choosing the main facilitator, how do you reach the citizens? What do you do if there is not enough people interested? And also a very important question, whether the recommendations are binding for the city authorities, and in what scope, to what extent. A very detailed question, how many people are engaged in the organization of an assembly? For example, in a city which has, or town which has about 50,000 inhabitants.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, it is costly. It is costly and it is time consuming, definitely. So there are different types of citizen consultation that can be lighter for topics that are less important or less complex. For instance, I've managed some citizen forum of only 2 days with 20 participants in the room, just to have their feedback on the health system and how they would see that in their area. So it really depends on complexity. You will certainly not organize a full citizen assembly because in terms of if you don't have a complex questions to address for which the authorities need to have the citizen implication and engagement in it. So of course in Switzerland, the citizen assembly will be very expensive because all the prices are expensive. So in Poland, it'd be less. But several thousand euros, most probably, for organizing a citizen assembly that can range from 3,000 to 10 or more, depending on the cost of the facilitators and the premises and et cetera, et cetera. So citizen assemblies are really reserved for important and complex topic. About the authorities is the recommendation binding for the authorities? The decision to implement the recommendation lies with the authorities. So it's not an obligation, but the obligation that we've negotiated with them is that they have to answer to each recommendation. And if they don't implement it, they have to justify why. And there is a discussion with the Citizen Assembly on this why, but it's not binding. Of course, in some countries, you have initiatives with permanent citizen council where a certain number of decision making is made by the citizen together with the authorities. But this is not the case yet in Switzerland. For the number of citizens invited to participate, it's interesting because, for instance, I give you an example. The national citizen consultation in France on climate change, that's the whole country, there was 150 citizens invited. In Geneva, when we did the climate change forum, Geneva is about 500,000 people. We had 50 people in the room. So already, it's not the same proportion like for the whole country of France, 40 million people, 150 participants, 500,000 people in Geneva, 50 participants. And for Sarajevo, we will have 80, which is, just in between, but Sarajevo is much smaller than the whole France. So I would say, for instance, for a city of 50,000 people, I would have between 20 and 30. I would not have less than 20 because you need to have a representation of the population. Young people, elderly people, well-educated, less educated, living in different parts of the cities, and etc. So 20 is a minimum to organize a citizen assembly. For 50,000, we'd say between 20 and 30.
Krystian, bardzo dziękuję.
Thank you so much, Christian. We also have questions in the chat concerning the way how to reach the residents, how to inform them. How do we increase their interest and turnover in different forums, participative forums? We're going to discuss it in the next part of the seminar, when we speak about how it happens, how it works at the city level, at town level. So the questions will be answered soon. Please be patient. And after another, some more presentations, there will be another session of questions and answers. And I would like our speakers to answer these questions that we didn't have time to answer right now during these Q&A sessions. So please provide the answers in the chat, or you can elaborate more on the answers you have already provided to satisfy the interests of our participants. Right now, we're moving to another presentation. We're in Zurich. As I said, we're going to discuss the topic from the perspective of different cities. Our speaker is Mr. Werner Lichtenhorn, who is the head of the project in the development department in the City Hall of Zurich since 2006. So it's going to be a very important anniversary of your work there in the city administration. Werner is responsible for developing, heading and including citizen initiatives in the projects run by the city, especially initiatives elaborated in informal participatory projects. So in a way, you can say you connect the work of the citizens with the work of the administration. Werner is going to share his extensive experience and also share with us some interesting tools for which Zurich is well known for, and that can be used to enhance, to strengthen the participation of citizens in the life of our cities. Werner, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Tomasz. I would like to welcome you from my side as well, and thank you very much for the invitation. First, can you see my slides? Is that all okay? I hope so. Else, please stop me. I know that many of you have a lot of experience.
Ale wiesz, on wtedy nie widzi u siebie.
Does it work or?
I think it's fine. Yes, please proceed.
Continue. Is it okay, Tomasz?
Yes, we can hear now. Werner, słyszymy ciebie teraz. Tak? Widzimy prezentację
We see the presentation in the presenter's mode.
w trybie prezentera, także widzimy kolejne slajdy.
So we see also next slides.
Oh, you see the presenter's mode.
Tak.
I don't know how to change this. Präsentation, Referentenansicht ausblenden. Is it different now? Better now?
Nie, jest cały czas tryb prezentera.
It's the same all the time.
Od lewej u dołu.
Oh, now it's good. Now it's perfect. Now it's...
I stopped it for a moment and I try it again.
Okay.
Some problems here.
Poczekamy. Ale...
What can you see? I don't know.
Tak?
That's what I can do.
Tak, i proponuję, zostaniemy przy trybie prezentera. Jest ona
Okay, so
widoczna.
let's leave it this way because we can see, since the screen is bigger now, we can see it. It's okay right now.
Yes, I'm pleased to give you a brief insight into the informal participation processes in the city of Zurich. As a project manager in Zurich's Urban Development Department, the topic of participation has been a focus of mine for many years. And in recent years, I have been particularly involved with online participation. Our department, the Urban Development Department, plays a rather coordinating role in the area of participation, promoting knowledge exchange and networking in the administration. It is rare that we ourselves take the lead in informal participation processes out there in the field. We are also responsible for Zurich's e-participation platform, and we support other departments in its use. And in my presentation, I have a first part where I will present some general points about participation in the city of Zurich. And then in the second part, I would like to briefly introduce our e-participation platform. And first, I'd like to clarify what I'm talking about. I'm sure most of you are familiar with that. When it comes to participation, there are basically two worlds. One on the left concerns the formal, legally mandated participation we were talking about before. These include, for example, also legally mandated consultations or the opportunity to raise objections to a project. And on the other side, that's on the right, is the topic of my presentation. It's the voluntary informal participation. These are additional participation processes that are carried out without any legal obligation. And why does the city this? It's because there is a belief and also an experience that these processes generate an added value. I would just like to highlight 2 or 3 points here. They can contribute to improve the quality of solutions by incorporating the local knowledge. They also help make planning more transparent. Projects can be better explained and trust can be built up. And this can reduce the risk of appeals and complaints. Also, this risk cannot be totally excluded. And last but not least, also informal participation processes enable the influence of groups excluded from the classic democratic processes, such as children, young people, or foreigners. Those processes also correspond to the City Council's understanding of governance. The City Council has in various strategies and documents again and again underlined that this is important. And they say the city's projects should be approached in a cooperative and participatory manner. That's again and again. And therefore, this informal participation has been for long an integral part. And the administration has a lot of know-how and experience in this area. This does not mean that everything always works out well and that participants are always happy and satisfied. Sometimes there is criticism, of course, and there is always room for improvement for the administration. However, there are many years of practice and there are always exemplary examples. These processes take place in almost all areas of the administration, not only in planning and construction, but also in the area of children and youth, or in the areas of old age, culture, climate, and public transport. What you see on the slide is an excerpt from our participation portal, which provides an overview of ongoing and completed participation processes. I'm going to show you this in the second part. I would like to give you 2 examples of informal participation processes. The first one from the traffic sector, called neighborhood blocks. You may be familiar with such projects under the name of superblocks, as they are called in Barcelona, or Supergrätzel in Vienna, or Kiezblocks in Berlin. At the moment, such traffic calm zones are being implemented in many European cities. The aim is to reduce the traffic passing through these areas and create more space for neighborhood life and green spaces. In Zurich, we talk about neighborhood blocks, and the first 2 pilot projects are currently underway. And the aim is to develop these neighborhood blocks according to the specific situation and together with the local residents and local stakeholders. Therefore, 3 forum events are planned for this purpose. And the first forum event took place last November and focused on providing the information about the project and gathering the concerns and needs of those affected by the project. And the second event was this January. They showed first variants and scenarios and discussed them with the participants. And at the third forum, which will take place this Saturday, the implementation concept will be presented and further feedback will be gathered. And there will also be an opportunity for online feedback after the event. By involving these local stakeholders, it was possible to overcome some resistance at an early stage, and local knowledge could be integrated into this planning process. The second example is a participatory process to develop a new aging strategy for the city of Zurich. It's about 5 years ago. The goal was to incorporate the perspectives of the population, especially of the senior citizens, and also to include the perspectives of numerous private organizations in the field of aging. For this, the participation process consisted of 2 large workshops with approximately 100 representatives from invited organizations. And there was a quite big online participation open to everyone. And because this is a topic that affects a lot of people, the page received a large number of visits, about 20,000 visits, and generated over 1,200 posts and 180 comments. And in addition, there were walk-ins in retirement centers where feedback was gathered and transferred into the online participation. Implementation has been on the way now for about 3 years in many smaller and larger working groups and projects. And again, during this implementation, they always try to integrate the user's perspective. These are 2 examples. There are many more, like a lot of smaller informal participation processes in different fields. Since 2006, the city administration has had a working aid that serves as a guideline. It was developed at that time in a large internal process with many stakeholders to establish a common understanding inside the administration. And one final product was this checklist, which provides quick access to the most important topics. It contains 18 questions. Although the checklist now is somewhat outdated, it's about 20 years old, it is still valid and is still used as a basis. And in addition, there are now various other working aids and guidelines from other cities or private organizations that we can also rely on. What we did in the last years in order to strengthen knowledge exchange and networking within the administration, we built a community in teams. Everyone involved in participation processes can take part here. At the moment, there are about 150 members, so it's in the administration, and anyone can post information or ask a question in this community. We also included a SharePoint online page bringing together all important information in one place. We've documented our common understanding here. We added a list of contact persons. We added links to our working tools, as well as information to the e-participation. And in addition, we've started with informal meetups over lunchtime, which also serve as a platform for exchange and networking within the administration. So much for the topic in general. And now I'd like to introduce our e-participation platform to you briefly. And in advance, I'd like to say that we understand e-participation always as a complement to analog formats. It is not intended to replace the existing workshops or roundtables or world cafes, but always to complement them. The starting point was the City of Zurich Smart City Strategy in 2019. There was one 4-core element called testing smart participation. And the goal was to acquire an application for digital participation for the entire administration in order to expand the existing participation processes. This is intended to ensure that not all departments and organizations have to test and purchase such applications for online participation individually. I missed, yeah, okay now. Then on the lead of our IT department, a suitable application for the city administration was evaluated, and the open source software Decidim turned out to be the best solution for us. The software was developed in Barcelona in 2016, is very transparent and impressed with its comprehensive toolkit for digital participation. And it offers a wide range like surveys, simple surveys to complicated surveys, idea gathering up to participatory budgets. But the platform also offers very good opportunities for the communication of participation processes with the information pages. The presentation of the process steps is very easy, and there is a blog functionality and newsletter functions. Another argument was that DeciDeem is used in many cities and countries around the world, including large cities like New York, Helsinki, Milan, Mexico City, or the European Commission. As a result, there is a dynamic developer community taking care of further developments of the platform, and there is a constant upgrading of DeciDeem. In Switzerland, 4 cities initially used DeciDeem. This was Lausanne, Geneva, Lucerne, and Zurich. And since then, other municipalities have joined, including some smaller communities also. I'd like to briefly show you the platform. So I try to swap over to the platform, and I hope you might see it. Can you see the platform now?
Yes, we do see the platform.
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. Oh, but I don't see it anymore. Where? What happened? Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good. What you see is the homepage of our DeciDeem platform. It looks the appearance of the platform is adapted to the website of the city of Zurich. It looks quite similar. So, and in the background runs the DeciDeem software, and the software is completely separate from the municipal IT. It's not integrated. It runs on a separate server. The platform is intended to be the central portal for participation in the city of Zurich. As far as possible, all participation processes of the city administration should be mapped here, including purely analog projects that do not carry out participation at all. And you can see this here. Here are all the processes mapped. You can see the running processes and the past processes are here. And each project gets a tile like this. We recently have added a module that shows the participation processes on the city's map up here. And what I would like to show you is the example of the neighborhood blocks. Now it's a process group. You see the 2 neighborhood blocks up here. Each of these neighborhood blocks gets a tile. And I enter here Quartierblock Unterstrasse. And each individual participation project will receive a space like this with the information page where the project can be described. Images, videos, or maps can also be uploaded here. And they have also their documentation of the first 2 forum events uploaded here. We have integrated an automatic language translation system to the platform. This means that all texts are automatically available in English as well. This allows us to reach a large portion of the non-German speaking population in Zurich. And again, I want to show you the process phases. The platform makes it very easy to show the different steps of a participation process. I don't want to go into detail about this. The starting point here were political initiatives. Then the first workshops with an eco group took place in last spring, 2024. Then there was the first forum event last November, and the second in January, and the third will take place coming Saturday. And then implementation is planned for autumn, starting this autumn. The neighborhood blocks so far have used the platform mainly for communication. You see the third event is currently being announced here. But what I'm going to show you. Oh, wonderful. I like to show you the first event. The third event is without registration. The first event was with registration. There was a button here on the right-hand side. And before the event took place, already there started a lively discussion about the neighborhood block at the bottom here. And that shows a little bit the functionality of the platform. The people are able to set comments and they can reply and they can like and dislike here in Genau. And after the event, we transferred this thread to a new tab and we opened the discussion again in this new tab where it could go on. Okay, now that's yes, that's a real brief insight into our DataDeem platform. Often used are smaller and larger surveys, probably most common used, and these are often very successful also and generate a lot of feedback. Thank you for your interest, and with that I'll end here and return to Thomas.
Dziękuję Ci, Wernerze, za bardzo interesujące pokazanie.
Thank you very much, Werner, for this very interesting, showing this very interesting aspect, this digital one, related with the DataDeem platform. Well, it's also an answer to what's happening in today's world. The commonplace availability of online solutions for participation as well, and an online platform, I think, it works. It works well on the basis of your experience, and it provides an opportunity to engage the residents and discuss things with them in many ways. It's been very interesting, and we'd like you to stay with us. There might be some questions to you, and there will be one more Q&A session, as I mentioned before. And right now, I'd like we'd like to learn more how it looks in Karusz, in the city of Karusz. Leonor Stangerlin. So can you say us more about involving citizens in municipal urban planning in Karusz?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Leonor Stangerlin. I'm just going to briefly share my my presentation. Do you all see the presentation? Sorry. Here. Do you all see the presentation?
Super. Świetnie.
Yes, it's great.
Okay, perfect. So, hi, everyone. My name is Leonor Stangerlin, and I'm a city planner for the city of Karusz. First, a general thanks to the Association of Polish Cities for inviting me to share some thoughts and some reflections, struggles, and some concrete examples of what is done in formal and informal participation in Karusz. Some words just about me. I'm a political scientist, economist, and city planner, and I got into the world of citizen involvement within urban planning projects through my work with the Collective Urbs, which is a collective in Geneva, which has actually been pioneer in involving, in proposing some processes to involve citizens and local associations within the planning processes. And since 2-3 years now, I'm working for the city of Karusz, and I'm mainly in charge of transversal topics such as long-term visions. Like we've just finished our 15 years vision, Karusz 2040. And I'm also in charge of public participation for urban planning projects. Also just about the mindset of the presentation, it's just really a humble sharing of experience. Thanks, Werner, from the city of Zurich. It's really incredible what you do, and like my presentation will also maybe complete it from a very like insights from inside the administration, how we thought about things and how we developed tools to enhance formal and informal public participation. So it's really about an exchange of experience here. Not that it's easy; it's a very essential topic, but it's also a very complex endeavor, and we're still on a journey to kind of get better in this aspect. What I will do is just to give a general context on Carouge so that you understand maybe the stakes, and for those of you who work in public administrations as mayors, deputies, and so on, to understand what kind of city is Carouge. And at the end, to give some concrete examples and some kind of insights which I learned during the last couple of years doing public participation in urban projects. So where is Carouge? So we are in the canton of Geneva. It's a canton of like roughly 500,000 to a little bit more 500,000 people. And Carouge is one city within this canton of Geneva. Is a municipality, a commune as we call them, and it's very central within Geneva. It's a historical city which has been developed in the 18th century, mainly as a Catholic counterpower to the Protestant Geneva. It's a small city actually. It's within a larger urban ensemble, but it's a very small city. It's like 2.5 square kilometers. We're in a very dense city, very close to the center of Geneva and of the agglomeration, the bigger ensemble of cities which kind of join together now through the development, the urban development. So we're quite in the center of this whole urban development in the canton of Geneva and in the neighboring regions. It's very interesting, Carouge, because it's small, but also it is extremely fast changing. We have loads of urban mutation, urban development, huge urban development projects. So it's kind of laboratory, I would say. It's an interesting context for public participation because there is so much changing that public participation becomes a huge stake to kind of inform and get the population, the actual population now and the future population also participating. So to give you a rough estimate, it's going to double its population in 10, 15 years from now if everything which is developing now gets into reality. So it's a fast change. We have other dynamics which make public participation extremely important. We have, of course, urban ecological transition. We committed to reach zero carbon target for 2050. So it means huge infrastructural and also behavioral changes for the city and its inhabitants. We have an aging population. We'll go from like 14% of people over 65 to 22 in 2040, which is it means also a lot of issues and challenges which will be raising in the next couple of decades. Growing inequalities, like a bit everywhere in the world, and also to come back to the topic of climate change, a very deep need to adapt to climate change because we have a lot of urban heat islands, and we have a lot of flood dangers in Carouge. So there is also there an important evolving mutation of the city which has to be done to adapt to those risks. So how does citizen participation come into this bigger picture? I'll talk now specifically about urban planning projects, even though, as Werner said, we can talk about public participation in basically any type of public policies. Sorry, but yeah, my knowledge lies more within urban planning. So it's a complex topic. Let's say it's not simple within representative democracies and semi-direct democracies as we have in Geneva, because basically people already vote 3 to 4 times a year. So that's the basic voting on either elections or specific topics, which can be urban projects. Then people elect representatives, which means some people are there to represent the needs of the population. And then we're trying to develop a very kind of deliberative or localized, very direct democratic dialogue within urban planning projects. So we have all these levels of participation which kind of entangle with some difficulties, for example, by elected representatives to kind of understand what is the extra value of citizen participation, and also some kind of fear to that it goes wrong, which is not a risk to be excluded because it's a very complex matter. So first of all, what we're talking about urban planning is inhabitants as experts of their own environment. So inhabitants, actually, it brings a value to involve inhabitants in the urban planning projects, because they know actually much better they have some type of knowledge that no urban planner will have from an office. So it's what we call expertise d'usage, use expertise, like the fact that you live in a place gives you some kind of expertise of everyday life and everyday processes. And this is extremely valuable, especially when we talk about projects which bring deep change within a neighborhood. Then, of course, the added values of democratic dialogue. As Werner said, it's possible in informal participation for people who actually don't have access to formal tools like voting, for example, because either they are foreigners or they don't have the age to vote, and to kind of include these minorities or these big groups of population within a democratic dialogue. And it's a social cohesion factor. If it's done well, it can also divide if it's done unwell, but it can bring really a neighborhood together. And what we saw in the last years is that if it's done right, there is a kind of trust relationship that is created between inhabitants and the public authorities, which kind of reinforces this proximity that people feel towards the public authorities, the local public authorities, and also a sense of belonging. If you have the feeling that you could contribute to this new project, which will be your home, then you feel a sense of belonging, and actually it can increase the well-being of inhabitants. So that's for the general how we see in Carouge the added value of citizen participation. And then I wanted to very briefly, it's a basic theoretical background, but I think it's always interesting to have a little bit of that in our head as well. So it's the most well-known kind of theory on citizen involvement, which is called the ladder of participation by Einstein. So Sherry Arnstein is a political researcher, was a political researcher in the 60s, 70s within US American city planning policies. And so she created this this normative. It's normative. It has some kind of ethic and some kind of, let's say, the premises are normative. And it's also a provocative analysis, which I think can do us good as political, urban planners to have in mind, because it highlights actually some dangers, pitfalls of participation from the side of the administration. What can we do wrong within public participation? It can be tokenism, which means basically to symbolically include some populations without actually giving them quite any power, because she defines citizen participation as the degree of citizen agency and control. So this is where we get into these difficulties that I described before between representative democracies and participation within urban projects, because somehow, if you really want to do deep and let's say not true, but participation, there is a degree of control that you have to give to the person with whom you are like you entering a partnership or a true dialogue with these people. So yeah, we have 8 stairs of the ladder, which I find difficult because actually it has this premise of the higher stair is the best. But actually what I want to propose you is this other kind of more simple and less normative approach to say, okay, we have 3 ways to deal with that. We have information. We have just one way from the public authorities to the population, information which is absolutely essential for any type of involvement in any matter. So this is the step which is essential for the next steps to come. And it's already very difficult to do that, especially when you have high stakes urban project with a lot of different stakeholders, a lot of risks, a lot of financial involvement. So informing is already an important step, and it can help the administration to get unified with one way to inform, which is also a coordination function, which is interesting. So this is one way, the public authorities to the citizens. Then consultation. Consultation is actually gathering information. You have a project, you have an idea, you have an objective, and you want to get as many insights from the population as you can. You kind of use this expertise usage that I talked about before to better your projects. And this is actually a very good step. If it's done well, it's already quite amazing. And then you have co-creation and co-construction, which is really like these 2 ways. It's a dialogue mindset, which also means that in some extent, the public authorities accept that the participatory process can deeply influence the project. It's not like I have a project and I want to get it through with minor changes, but really I step into a process which can make a form out of it, or a result out of it, which I, for now, don't really know about because it's going to be co-created. And that's I would say the more intense and the more difficult to do, the type of participation which is the most difficult to do. Additional remarks from inside the administration. What we've seen in the last years, it's been years that we do public participation in urban projects, and it's really that it's changing the administration from within. if you want to do like really efficient, good public citizen involvement, you have to unsilo the public administration, because actually people don't think within administrative boundaries. And when demands are coming up within these processes, they often concern very different types of public policies and of actually administrative units. So it could be we do an urban planning process with the citizens, and they ask us about things which have to do with social affairs or with culture, or also with finance, and so on. So it calls for a very intense kind of coordination, collaboration, cooperation, and this is already difficult. This is something that needs some work to get this mindset, this administrative mindset of participation. And then participation needs a common framework to ensure quality, to ensure integrity of the process. So this is what Werner talked about when we have these big strategies. It's actually to ensure some kind of quality. And this we did in Carouge quite recently, actually, because we saw that otherwise it can go wrong. And the third thing, the third insight, is that citizen participation is mostly already there. It can be a bartender who is the link between everyone in the neighborhood. It can be associations. It can be just informal groups. These people already kind of participate within their neighborhoods, and they contribute to some extent. And it's very important when you launch some processes to really identify what is already there. What are the stakeholders, the actors, local actors that I can actually use is not the right word, but I can activate to touch as many people as possible. So, and now just 3-4 very basic examples of what we do. We've created 2 years ago the participation unit, which is between the Department of Social Affairs and City Planning to create this kind of administrative culture. And we kind of meet every month to work on the topic and to discuss some processes that are going on. Then we have the participation charter, which we did to define the roles, the values, the engagements, and some practical guidelines on public participation. Then we have information. We have every 3 months a double page in the local journal to make a zoom on a neighborhood and kind of inform and communicate on what is going to happen on the short, middle, and long term within the neighborhood. We have processes to consult citizens. I wanted to highlight the fact that, for example, this municipal master planning, we did an exhibition in public space, which is something, it's not extreme directly participation, but actually it's getting people where they are going for a walk, where they are going to drink something with friends, and it's this approach of using whatever already exists, the public space, to kind of foster participation. Then we have an example of co-creation, co-construction, which is the neighborhood of Batel, which was very difficult because it's been left unfinished by the regional authorities. So there was a huge citizen mobilization to kind of to ask for a betterment of the neighborhood. And then now in 2025, we're getting the land ownership back on municipal level. And so we want to launch this very big participatory process. But the small thing that we started to show change already within the next couple of months is a working group with really representatives of local actors. It's what we did, you know, like identify who is already there and who is already participating and get them together to give information, but also to propose. We can then propose the project and to get feedbacks and to make these rounds of evolving of the final project until there is an agreement that this is good enough and that this what's representative of different associations and different groups that are important in the neighborhood want. And then we have well, I think I'm a bit short on time. Maybe I can pass this one. And this is what we did in the participation charter. We asked what is called a participation plan. So really the need to identify all dynamics and all actors that already are there, because often participatory processes start from a tabula rasa, which is actually the worst thing you can do because people don't feel valued for their engagement, which is already existing within the community. Important, you can see on the right the concept of traceability and restitution. On the right, you have like a synthesis of a process that we did a long time ago, but which shows all demands and shows them in thematics. And then we deep dive into a thematic and you see what has been included, what has not been included, and then the things that have not been included are explained within the document and within the restitution, public restitution session. And then I think for me, these are like kind of little insights. If you don't have one as a city, a charter of participation is actually extremely useful because it kind of helps the administration, the executive to engage into a dialogue to define what is participation, what is the goal, what are the engagements, and what are the means that we put into this type of approach. So this helped us, for example, at Inca Rouge, to really get into this discussion within the administration. Then this type of working groups where it's very easy to do some kind of participation process with representative of different associations who are already engaging and do like some kind of true deep participation process which shapes projects with these people within a small working group. Then very important, we have a guideline which says there should always be site visits and site workshops when we talk about urban planning. There should be no participation events that have no link with the territory about which this process is speaking. So really on-site visit, on-site workshop really gets people where they are, in their neighborhoods, in the streets, etc., and really have a sense of what the urban plan is going to change. Then personal experience, this type of exhibition in public space can also help a lot to raise just a topic that is not present within most people's minds, and they just go and walk their dogs and they see this exhibition and it kind of pops up in their head as something interesting or just something that they didn't know about. And this is already a first step to engage. For them to engage is to know about what is going on. And then in some other projects, we've really done some participatory construction, especially of like urban furniture, small infrastructure, with the people from the neighborhoods for some kind of transitional phases, and then some really long-term changes is not done participatory, but by professionals. But yeah, this is also a very nice thing to engage in if you have projects which kind of have a long-term view, but also have some transition phase in which it's interesting to implement things participatorily. Thank you a lot for your attention. I hope I didn't take too much time. I'm looking forward for the questions if you have some, and I'll be there at the Q&A. Thank you.
Leonor, bardzo dziękuję. Ja przyznaję, że widząc slajd narzędzia partycypacji, które wykorzystujecie, miałem z jednej strony taki dysonans, bo patrzyłem, że czas nam się kończy, a to był właściwie slajd, który chciałbym, żebyś jak najbardziej jeszcze rozwinęła, bo to jest to, co nas najbardziej interesuje. Jaki zestaw narzędzi używacie w mieście do wzmacniania procesu partycypacji. Także dziękuję, że podzieliłaś się z nami swoim doświadczeniem. To było nam potrzebne i myślę, że bardzo interesujące. A ja od razu przechodzę do kolejnego miasta. Z Karusz zapraszam Państwa do Thun. I w mieście Thun naszym prelegentem będzie Claudio Kumli. Claudio jest kierownikiem projektu spraw środowiska, energii i mobilności w Urzędzie Miasta Thun i odpowiada za wdrożenie projektu Climate Idea Thun, czyli pomysł na klimat miasta Thun. Takiej pionierskiej inicjatywy
is responsible for the Climate Idea Thun in this climate strategy. Within the framework of this project, the residents propose solutions that are climate or environmentally friendly, then elaborate them, fine-tune them, and then they are subject to public debate and public voting. And the winning projects receive funding, technical support, and a promotion from the city. I think what is important, Claudio, in your presentation is the changing role of the city, which is not only responsible for implementing its own projects, but in a way it becomes the intermediary, facilitator. But I guess this is how it explains this role in combining different circles, different environments, different projects, and helps the residents to take responsibility for different climate-friendly solutions and strengthens their engagement in looking for and implementing new solutions. Claudio Kumli very soon, and let me just remind you that you can use the chat, you can ask the questions via the chat. After the presentation from Thun and the last one on speed dating, we'll have another Q&A session. And right now, feel free to ask the questions via the chat. Claudio, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Again, for the invitation and also for the possibility to present our participatory budget process, the Climate Idea of Thun. Do you have a full screen visual on my presentation?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
perfect. Thank you very much.
Widzimy bardzo dobrze.
Widzimy dobrze.
All well so far? Okay, thanks.
Yes, all well.
My name is Claudio Kumli. I am a project manager here at the city administration of the city of Thun. And as a project manager, I'm responsible also for the Climate Idea of Thun. So in my presentation, and hence in the next more or less 20 minutes, I want to try to give an answer to the following question. The Climate Idea of Thun, what is it? And to give this answer, firstly, I want to say something about the strategic framework this project comes from, and also about the prize money, and especially about the institutions that make this money available for us. Then secondly, I want to say something about the approach of participation that we used. We heard a lot already about participation models, and I also will use a model in order to that we have seen already actually to explain what approach of participation we used in our project. Then I will say something very concretely about the main concepts, the rules, and how we proceeded into the project in order to identify the winning ideas that I will present fourthly, and in order to then give the learnings and say something about the conclusions that we were able to draw. Okay, so in terms of strategic framework, the climate idea of Thun stems out of the climate strategy, of our urban climate strategy, which is comprised of, on the one hand, a roadmap. This is like a basic strategic paper where you can find, for example, the objective net zero 2050 for the whole city, or net zero 2035 for the city administration. And on the other hand, we have another document. It's an action plan that is comprised of 15 measures, and 3 out of these 15 measures are so-called smart city projects. So for us, smart city projects are projects where we try to bring together people actually in order to generate so-called collective intelligence or group intelligence, you could also say. And we want to do that. Also, Werner mentioned that already too, and we have the same understanding of smart city projects in this respect. We organize on-site events, workshops, we invite people to the city hall in order to do a workshop, but we also use digital technologies in order to be even more effective and in order to elaborate on the projects. So in the climate idea of Thun, we had a process where we invited people to propose their project ideas. We concretized them together, and in the order there was a public vote going on using DESI, the Decidim platform. And these projects then that we wanted to identify through a vote won money that we made available. And using this money, the project proposers then were responsible for the implementation of these ideas. So it really was a co-creation process, actually. The people provided their ideas, we concretized them together. Some of them qualified for the vote, some of them didn't. And in the end, the best ideas won, got money from us and implemented their ideas. And the money that we got, we as a city were actually not able to reserve these 60,000 francs, but they were made available by the Swiss Federal Office for Energy. So there we won a project called Frontrunner, where we then got a subsidy, an amount of money in order to do our smart city projects. Then from the Wyss Academy for Nature at the University of Bern, that it's an association that's affiliated to the University of Bern, and this association, one could say, together with the Canton of Bern, also made available for us the Decidim platform. We as a city, we do not have a Decidim license yet, but we were able then to use the platform of the Wyss Academy and of the Canton of Bern. And last but not least, we also got money from the 2i-SECAP project. From the European Union. Yes, so here my little participation model. There are many different models. We saw a lot of them. We've also seen this one here. It's rather simple, but in my opinion, it explains very well the 3 most important levels of participation that in my opinion have to be mentioned. Before in the environment division where I work, we already did participation projects. For example, before we started to elaborate on the climate strategy itself, we developed a report with information on energy supply, for example, on gas consumption in the city of Thun, or on the implications of the electric network in the city of Thun, during the energy transition process from fossil to renewables. So this report then we made available for the people of Thun also, in order to know what are the basic fundamentals. And for us, it was very important to know what's going on actually in these areas, in order for us then to be able to to develop a climate strategy. So then the strategy itself, we developed, also organizing so-called sounding boards. These sounding boards took place in the city hall. There we invited people. The people were able to comment on, for example, measures or strategic fields in which we wanted to develop measures that then are explained in the roadmap. And these were then consultation activities. And then after the climate strategy was accepted by the city government, we then put into practice our 3 smart city projects that came out or that come out of the action plan. And one of these projects is the climate idea. And I can say that that was a new participatory format in Thun. It was co-creation. As I said before, we sought ideas using Decidim. So we also did a stakeholder analysis. That's very important in the beginning to ask yourself, what projects are you doing? What is the stakeholder group it caters for? So you have to identify these people. And of course, our communication department also published like media announcements, and we invited people in general. But we made a learning that only making media announcements, it's not enough. It does not suffice for people to be informed and to know that they would have the possibility to propose projects. So we also identified a list of people that we then contacted directly, writing letters, and we invited them to propose their ideas. So, and in the end, one very special thing was that in the participation projects we did before, hence regarding information and consultation activities, it was always the city administration that then put into practice the project itself. And here it was more like a transfer of decision-making power from the administration to the population. So they brought their ideas, we concretized them together, and it's not that we said, you have to do it like this or like that. Yeah, we put out the framework, rules that had to be respected, of course, that were important for the projects to be put into practice in the end. But within these rules, within this framework, people were free to develop their own ideas in order for them to qualify for the final vote. And once their idea was voted for and they won and got the money, they then, as I said before, they had to implement it themselves. And we just made a step back in order to just accompany the idea, to give support, and especially also to also take advantage within the framework of our climate campaign that we have. We have a climate campaign that we use to inform the population of Thun. And this is very interesting, I think, especially when you do like a co-creation project, such as a participatory budget process. It's not that these ideas or these activities reduce a whole lot of greenhouse gas emissions, for example, but it's like a signal. It's a sign. You have people coming out, citizens coming out of the population. You see what they do. They do something. They collaborate with the city administration, and in the end, we as an administration are able to take up these results and show them in our campaign. So that's very interesting, and like that, we are able to sensibilize and to inform again the population of Thun and also beyond Thun, of course. So what were the main concepts that we used? As I said before, Thun defines the rules, such as the valid geographic perimeter to hand in projects. And for us, that also was a step-by-step process, because we did it for the first time. Of course, we had a contractor that for us made available a lot of very important and useful knowledge regarding participatory budgets. Since we've never done something like this, it was very important for us. And then we defined the rules together with our contractor. And during the process of the project, we also, for example, realized in the beginning we said, okay, only people that live in Thun are allowed to hand in projects, to submit projects. And then there were ideas coming from municipalities around Thun, so neighboring municipalities and they planned to put these ideas into practice in Thun, but they were not living in Thun. And for us, it was just some sort of not justified to say, okay, they live in a municipality right next to Thun. They are very close. They want to put it into practice in Thun itself, so they should be allowed to submit projects as well. So there we also got ourselves the flexibility then to alter the rules that we set out in the first place, just in order to also develop the project during the process. That was for us very important. Yeah, and also as I wrote here, to have a concept to make sure that a fair division of the prize money is granted for. Yeah, then the ideas were submitted via the Decidim platform. Werner presented the Decidim platform already before. Thank you very much. That means that I don't have to present it anymore. Yeah, it was very useful. We had the possibility to use it from the Wyss Academy of Nature and from the Canton of Bern. Then the public administration, so us, we were represented by an internal group of experts from different departments. So that was also one of my jobs as a project manager in the beginning here in the environment department. We identified experts throughout the whole city administration. And then I had to contact them and I had to sort of I had to build up an internal group of experts that came together either on Decidim. So on Decidim, it's also possible to create a closed group. It's not always open. You can also have closed groups where, for example, groups of experts, internal groups of experts come together in order to discuss project ideas or different ideas that want to be put into practice, but we're not sure whether or not it's possible regarding the regulations in the city or regarding the way something has been done so far also. So you have to mirror these ideas and discuss them together with a group of experts. And then the winners were found based on a public vote using Decidim that I said before also. The climate ideas are being implemented by the winners and are supported by the city of Thun. Yeah, here you can see, you see a slide of the project procedure. It basically was a 4-step procedure. First, we have the project submission phase that lasted until September 23rd, 2023. So that's 1.5 years ago already. Time passes fast. Until then, people were allowed to submit project ideas. Then, as of September 24th, 2023, we concretized these ideas together with the people. Regarding also the framework, strategic framework, or the rules that we set out, or respecting these rules. And then there was this vote going on still on Decidim. So the proposers of the projects also, they were responsible for the mobilization of people voting for their ideas. And some of them were more able to do so, others probably a bit less, or were also less motivated to mobilize people to vote. And of course, it should have been an incentivation to do so, but yeah, it's an aspect that has to be mentioned also. And then, as of the end of March in 2024, the implementation phase started, which lasts now until the end of March. So soon the implementation phase will be concluded as well. And only then we also can make like a final analysis and draw final conclusions out of the whole process. So here, yeah, we had 39 ideas that were submitted on Decidim. And in the end, 11 ideas went to the vote. And you might ask yourself, so, okay, why from 39 to 11? And this is due to several reasons. First of all, our contractor that we had was responsible for the communication with the people that proposed the projects. And some of these ideas were very similar one to another. And the contractor then tried to also, in a smart city mindset, to bring them together, maybe to take advantage of each other and to create one idea that comes out of 2 or even 3 ideas that were proposed in the first place. And that then leads to a reduction in the overall number of ideas available for the vote. Then also we had other ideas that could not have been or that didn't qualify for the final vote, for example, because if someone proposes to construct a new street, for example, for bicycles, for example, this is something that has to be decided by the city parliament, and that goes to other political processes and is not qualified to be decided in such a co-creation process. In our process, it was important that ideas are coming from citizens, but also have to be implementable by the citizens. This is very important, and that was one of that was very difficult also to explain to the people. Because there are many good ideas, but not all of them are then implementable by themselves. And that also led to a reduction. And lastly, they also did not maybe respect the rules that we set out. That was also a possibility. Maybe they were too expensive. They tried to concretize the budget together with our contractor, and in a very conservative way. And when in the end we saw that the budget is just too high, they were not able to qualify for the vote. So 4 ideas, we wanted to find 4 ideas in the end, because for us it was important based on our climate campaign, our communication campaign. We wanted to have 4 ideas because like that we were more likely to have also good results in the end. When you only have one idea that wins, of course it's nice, but in the end you never know whether or not you're going to have a good result in the end. That's also well for the campaign. And that was one reason why we said, okay, at least we want to have 4 ideas that win, and we're going to split up the 60,000 francs in a fair way among these 4 winning ideas. So here are the winning ideas. We had 3 workshops on a sustainable future for kids. So kids came together and they learned something about food waste or measures against food waste, or in general about climate change. And these workshops actually were put into practice already before, during summer vacation. But thanks to the money that they won in our project, they now are also capable and able to organize these workshops, not only during summer vacation, but also during autumn, winter, and spring. And these workshops actually turn out to be very, very popular. Then we have the enhancement of visibility of Leibhard Thun. It's a project, it's a circular economy project. It's a platform where people can share their items or also or in general make them available for other people. And the visibility was not high enough for them, and publicity is very expensive, so they want money from us, and we're able to make publicity for it. Then we have a food safe banquet that has been organized already in the years before, but more in the outskirts of Thun. And now, thanks to the winning in our to the victory in our project, they were able to bring the food safe banquet in Thun to the city center, and that has also a very a very valuable communicative aspect to it, because people walking by, they are going to the market in the city center, they walk by spontaneously, they see, oh, there's a banquet going on, and they learn about food waste, how to prevent it, and are also able to try meals that are prepared with safe food. And then we have a garden city project where workshops are organized to learn about gardening, home gardening, and things like that. Yes. So what are our experiences in hindsight? So it was very important, the support of the Swiss Federal Office for Energy, the Wyss Academy, the Canton of Bern, and of the TUI-SECA project, of course. As I said before, as a city government, or not as a city, as a municipality, it was not possible for us to reserve actually the money out of our budget to do so, because it's a new activity, it's a co-creation project, it's very innovative, and it's hard to also convince the local politics in order to make available this money. And for us, it was super helpful to have these institutions on a national level, but also from the university and from the European Union, that allowed us to do something like that, and also to show that it is something that's worthwhile to do and produce nice results. Then the combination of Decidim with on-site events worked well. So that's our understanding of smart city activities. We understand it as well as complementing and not one or the other, and that worked very well. Then stakeholder management and target group-oriented communication was very important. As I said before, do a stakeholder analysis, understand what groups or what stakeholder groups you want to talk to, and then contact them also directly, just in order to make sure that people know what's going on, and also hand in, for example, in such a project, their ideas. And then on-site activation and coaching is crucial. As I said, we had a very, very valuable and good contractor that provided, on the one hand, the, for us, necessary knowledge, the know-how on participatory budgets, and but also they communicated directly with the people. They went into the neighborhoods, into the districts of the city. They provided also the necessary support for the people to develop and then implement their projects. And then the support for idea providers and constant communication on all available channels is important. Yeah. So as I said before, media announcements, social media flyers, direct communications. Yeah, all of that. So 4 and good, exciting winning ideas that would have been implemented without the climate idea. I think we found that, and in combination with our campaign, for us, it's a real added value. They are well received by the population, we have the impression, and the city will continue to provide information about the implementation of the winning ideas on our website. So our climate campaign, the core of it is a specialized website. It's www.klimatun2050.ch. I also have a QR code here that you can scan, where you then go to the websites that we have, and you see how we do it. There are many animations, pictures, facts and tips about climate change, and also on the projects that we carry out here in Thun. So this is our main slogan. Klimaschutz ist Teamsport in German. It means like climate protection is like team sport. So we all have to come together. We have to help each other in order to resolve this problem of climate change. So this is one of our very important mindsets. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for your attention.
Claudio, dziękujemy za bardzo
Thank you very much, Claudio,
interesującą
for
i
this
też
very
taką bardzo
interesting
pokazującą różne aspekty
but
tego, w jaki
also
sposób możemy
your
używać
presentation that also shows many
metody,
different
które
aspects,
do tej pory być może
helping
trochę
us
znamy, no bo
to learn how to
właśnie
combine certain
pracę
methods that we might already
z
know.
mieszkańcami
For example,
w
working
terenie,
with
czyli właśnie
residents
platformy
in the field
czy kanały komunikacji,
or
ale te
different
wyzwania
platforms
związane na
or
przykład z
communication channels,
ograniczeniami w dzisiejszych czasach,
but
jakie
also
się
including
pojawiają,
certain
czyli kwestie
limitations
dotyczące
in the
tego,
current
jak nie
situation.
zawsze samo dotarcie za pomocą zwykłych kanałów
For example,
komunikacji i
the
w dzisiejszym
traditional
świecie tak naprawdę
communication
coś, co
channels
możemy
might not be
nazwać takim
enough.
hybrydowym
And
podejściem.
it's very interesting to see
To, co
this
jest
hybrid mode
bardzo interesujące,
that
to te
you use.
metody
What's also very
angażujące
interesting is
mieszkańców,
the methods
również
to
takie,
engage
które
the citizens,
są mniej znane,
which are
bo
also
zadawanie pytań,
less known
aktywizowanie
than just
mieszkańców, ale
activizing
też
them,
bardzo
asking
istotny
questions,
element, o którym
but also
dzisiaj
what
we
is
wszystkich przykładach
also
mieliśmy
very
okazję
important,
widzieć, to znaczy
and that has been
zaczynamy od
present in all of these
informowania,
examples. So
angażujemy,
starting
ale
with
ta końcówka
informing,
też pokazująca
then
oto
engaging,
dalszy
and
ten
in
wymiar,
the
że
end,
widzimy, co się dalej dzieje. To jest
we
bardzo
see
ważny
what is going to happen
element.
later on. This is a
Tutaj
very
też
important
kolejny raz, zresztą też
piece I'd like
wspominałeś
to
o tym,
highlight.
mieliśmy
You've also
okazję usłyszeć
mentioned
o użyciu platformy Decidim.
the
Tutaj też
Decidim platform.
chcemy podzielić się informacją,
We
że
also like to
miasto
share the
stołeczne
information that
Warszawa
the
używa
capital
w
city of
swoich
Warsaw
konsultacjach i realizuje
uses
konsultacje z
the Decidim
wykorzystaniem tej
platform
platformy.
in their
I Centrum
consultations.
Konsultacji Społecznych
And
jest
also the
też
Social
takim
Consultation
miejscem, gdzie
Center
możemy się o tym
is a
dowiedzieć.
place where we
Można
can
się
learn of this
kontaktować.
fact,
Ostatnio te
where we
doświadczenia
can,
miasta Warszawy
the
były
place we can contact.
prezentowane na
The
Komisji
experiences of
Kadencji
Warsaw have
Związku
also
Miast
been
Polskich, więc
presented
widzimy,
in
że
our
platforma
commission
Decidim
meeting in the
staje się
Association of
takim
Polish
narzędziem,
Cities.
które
So I see that
mocno
Decidim
wspiera
has
właśnie
become a
te
tool that
procesy
strongly
partycypacji.
supports
I
these
to
participatory
hasło ostatnie, które mieliśmy okazję
processes.
usłyszeć, że właśnie kwestie
And
związane
the
z
term we
budową
heard
zaangażowania klimatu to
that
są kwestie
creating engagement in a climate
zespołowego
policies
działania jak najbardziej jest adekwatne, a również
in this
trudno mówić o
teamwork is
klimacie
also very
bez
adequate.
spojrzenia
I believe it
na
is difficult to
wyzwania,
speak of
z
climate
jakimi mierzą się
without
mieszkańcy będący
realizing the
domów,
challenges
budyntów,
faced by the inhabitants of houses,
czy
apartments
mają wysoki
that
właśnie ten
have a high
indeks
level of
konsumpcji energii.
energy
I
consumption.
tutaj mamy już, widzimy, jest z nami
I see that Sunna Zaitel is with us,
bardzo interesujące
who's going to share a very interesting
z tym, jak
aspect,
praktycznie pomóc mieszkańcom,
how
którzy
to
mają
practically
budynki, które
assist
wymagają tej
those
renowacji. U nas mówi się
residents
która
whose
ma na celu
buildings need to
zmniejszenie
be
właśnie
thermally
i żeby były
modernized
bardziej
to
efektywne
limit
energetycznie.
the
Oddajemy
energy use
Ci już
and
prezentację,
ensure higher
modernizację
efficiency
budynków
of its
poprzez szybkie spotkania.
of
Sunna
energy.
Zaitel i
So Sunna Zaitel accelerating renovations through speed dating.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation. I'll be quick, I promise. And we at INTEP, we are primarily concerned with how we can bring together the relevant stakeholders to work together to achieve climate targets, for example, directly or indirectly. And as already mentioned, when it comes to climate targets, we quickly talk about our buildings. So on average, it is estimated that only 1% of the building stock in Switzerland is renovated each year. And in order to meet the Paris climate targets, the renovation rate must be increased to around at least 2%, better 3%. And of course, there are funding programs, there are advisory services, but these do not appear to be sufficient. So we wanted to try a slightly different approach. So we chose the speed dating method because we wanted to bring together the relevant stakeholders with the matching needs and the matching skills to take a step forward together. This approach was developed as part of an applied research project and tested in 4 different cities and municipalities. The 4 cities started with very different circumstances and needs, so the project looked slightly different everywhere. In one city, for example, in the city of Winterthur, we only carried out the project in selected neighborhoods, and the focus was much more on developing solutions for groups of owners, while in other cities it was carried out for the entire urban area, and the owners were advised very individually. Our aim with the project was and still is to help owners make good decisions, to bring them together with experts in early phases, to connect neighbors, to enable their first steps, and to help the providers, I mean the experts, to get to know property owners, their potential clients, and them to get to know the cities as partners, not merely regulators, so to work for a common goal. And of course, to provide the cities with tools and concepts for the renovation process and show them the state of the building stock. Our approach can be roughly divided into 5 tasks. The first thing we did was to get an overview of the condition of the buildings. The example shows the town of Baden, and we developed a renovation index on the basis of which we were able to determine where the highest renovation potential exists. You can see that in red. The index was based on various data, for example, the year of construction, the annual resource of the heating system, existing renovation measures, and so on. But of course, however, some cities were quite small, so the data was not available. And there we simply just went for a walk with 2 or maybe 1 local expert who showed us the houses or the neighborhoods most in need of renovation. Once we had identified the relevant houses and their owners, the city officially invited them to participate. With the help of online questionnaires, we determined their needs and ideas, for example, whether they were already planning a measure, where they saw the biggest hurdles and the like. And we also received some phone calls and emails. And some people wanted to report on their experiences with the renovation process, with the city, both positive and negative. However, most of the people we heard from were very pleased with the city's commitment and offer. At the same time, based on the data analysis and the findings from the contact with the owners, suitable experts, providers were invited to an information event where we explained what we expected from them. They explained what they expected from us, and they could ask questions and then register for the speed dating event. And finally, our speed dating events. As I mentioned, we matched the needs of the property owners with the skills of the providers and organized several short conversations for each participant. Approximately every 10 minutes, a bell rang and the next property owners had their turn. And of course, there were breaks in between, allowing the owners to reflect on and compare what had been discussed. There were marketplaces, you can see it on the left, where companies of the experts and other organizations could present their offers, and property owners could ask questions as well. And in some cities, as I mentioned, in the city of Winterthur, for example, we organized roundtables with neighbors where they could discuss specific topics with experts and ask questions as well, of course. And in some cases, there were also short info sessions for everyone. In advance, we briefed the experts to proactively exchange contact details with the owners, and address lists were available for participants to sign up. However, I have to admit that at this point, we started reaching our limits. We followed up with both sides. Later, of course, we couldn't force them. Nevertheless, both we and the cities were satisfied with the project, and we got positive feedback. And I also got some numbers for you to show that. The events were the event each included approximately 20 to 55 property owners. So I think the best approach is to start by determining how many owners you want to reach, and then work backward to calculate how many should be invited. Based on our experiences, 6 to 25% of all invited property owners expressed interest. Of those, 67 to 91% actually attended the events. And after the events, we received feedback from 12 to 38%, indicating that they continued working with the experts, for example, by scheduling a follow-up consultation or organizing a site visit to assess the potential. We also examined to what extent the event influenced the property owner's decisions. Naturally, many owners who attended were already interested in renovation or the topic in general. For these individuals, we were able, or hopefully able, to provide direct support by connecting them with the experts and information on funding opportunities. However, there were also some owners who were initially uncertain or neutral, whom we managed to convince. And of course, there were also those who realized that the measures they had in mind wouldn't work as expected or were too costly for them. That happens as well, of course. In addition to the goals of raising awareness and empowering property owners, it is also important to consider how the city's actions are perceived. And the results showed that participants viewed the city's support slightly more positive, even though the city had not introduced any new funding programs, for example. Of course, the project is just a drop in the ocean if it remains a standalone effort. So that's why we want to focus on our communication, or I think communication is quite important about that. For example, we also have developed a guideline to help cities implement the process themselves. Unfortunately, it's only available in German, but maybe with the help of digital tools, you can translate it. And that's already from my side. Quite fast. I'm very happy to answer questions later or even after the event. And thank you very much.
No, dziękujemy bardzo.
Thank you so much. Not by fitting in the time limit, though we know that you sped up a bit since we were a little bit delayed. But I'm sure nobody has anything against going a bit beyond the time limit, because it was lots of important, interesting information. We unfortunately have to shorten a little bit our Q&A session, but I would like to ask some of these questions to our speakers. The first concerns the culture of dialogue. In your experience, have you ever encountered problems with hate speech, with some personal attacks? And if so, how do you handle them? This is the first question. And two more questions, more detailed ones, concerning those citizen assemblies. How do you motivate residents to engage in those assemblies? And how do you select the participants? So if I may ask the first question, the first question is to all the speakers, so feel free to take the floor, each of you. And the second one, I think, is more for Christian. So Christian, can we start with you, please?
Yes. So if I go to how to motivate and engage citizens in the citizen assembly, I think, and we've heard through other experiments, that communication is key. So what we do for citizen assembly, which are quite big events, as you have imagined, that you do a real promotion of the project. So this goes through the website of the community, the commune or the city, and etc., with a specific platform for the citizens to be able to propose topics on the main thematic and to be informed of what is going on with the citizen assembly. Publicity in the street, very often it's posters near the bus stops and etc. that are speaking about the citizen assembly to come and the main thematic that will be addressed. Media coverage with local newspapers or local television if it's available. And we also use civil societies and associations and clubs, etc., to promote the participation to such citizen assembly. Then we have the invitation letter. So all these together means that we have a quite high level of answer and participation. The selection of participants, I'm quickly going on, right? And the the selection of participants is done through a specific software, which is called sortition system, developed by University of Geneva, which allows to select the citizens in an anonymous manner, meaning that the names are replaced by numbers, and the selection is done only by the criteria of their profile that I spoke to about. And I end up with the hate speech and personal attack that can arise during citizen assemblies. And just give you the example, when I was in Bosnia and Herzegovina for the National Citizen Assembly on the electoral law, there were many different ethnies, different religion. It was a post-conflict country, right? So there was a risk of a hate speech and personal attack. So to avoid these problems, the first thing is really to take time for group cohesion and making the right rules together with the participants, so you can rely on the rule. And if there is something going wrong, you can refer to the rules and remind. But for this, the facilitators have to have a leadership on the real leadership on the group and the process. And no, I will not say how to manage conflicts and tensions, because this is a 2-day training on facilitation and we won't have time for that. But there are a lot of different processes to manage, going between coaching, mediation, moderation, and etc. This is all for my part. Maybe other ones have other viewpoints.
Maybe I can add something to our platform, our data team platform. We had no problem so far with any hate speech. We had once a personal attack, and then we could hide the comment. Everyone can flag comments, and then we can hide it, and we give a feedback to the participant. And the informal process in the city of Zurich, the workshops and roundtables normally are facilitated by professional moderators. So they know how to deal with those problems, and they avoid it in advance normally. So we don't have really big problems with that.
Bardzo dziękuję. I pytanie, które się pojawia kilkukrotnie.
Thank you so much. But there is a question asked a couple times. It was partly answered with regard to the level of engagement of the residents. Do the residents use the opportunity to participate in these processes? Is it difficult to engage them in these participatory processes? We've also discussed different methods of communicating with the residents, but would you like to elaborate on that, to add something?
I actually don't have a solution for that, but I can share a challenge. Maybe the other cities have a solution, because we notice that we often with our projects we reach always the same persons or always the same groups, a kind of person. And so it's quite, we have to balance. I mean, we are happy for everyone who wants to work with us and who wants to participate, but sometimes you have to balance. Okay, should we invest more time to even get other groups to view to get to know different opinions? Because sometimes it's there are a lot of people who are quite used to sharing their opinions, and others who are quite shy. But maybe the other cities can give an example, or do you have a solution? How do you work with that?
Leonor Karusz.
Leonor Karusz, how does it look in your city? What is the level of engagement, of interest among the residents with different forms of participation? What is the scale of their engagement? How would you define it?
Thank you.
Could you sum it up quickly?
Sure. It's a huge question, so it's very difficult to answer it briefly. I think on one side there is a high curiosity about topics of city planning and climate change in general. So to give an example, on the public consultation for the vision for the next 15 years of the city of Carouge, there were around like 100 people coming to every consultation evening that we did. We did 4 of them. Which is not a lot, but it already shows for a city of 25,000 people, it shows a certain level of interest. And also, I would say there is this high interest is combined, of course, with a high speed of change of the city. So the city is changing so quickly that people get worried, and this also sparkle interest in public participation in urban planning, which can turn very good if you manage to harness this interest into constructive participation, but can also be very challenging to manage. So yeah, the level of involvement is relatively high, but there are some pitfalls in how to manage this level of attention and interest. I don't know if that answered the question, but I hope so.
Jak powiedziałaś, to nie jest pytanie, na które można odpowiedzieć jednym
Exactly. You cannot answer this question with one phrase, but if I may follow up with Claudio Kumli, how does it look from the perspective of Thun with the engagement, level of engagement of the residents, and how do you work to elevate this level?
Sorry, I have a
sorry, we can't hear you.
Yes, it seems I have a translation issue here. I don't understand Polish. So what's the question?
Jak wygląda u was?
So once again for you, what is the scale of engagement in your city, or the level of interest in your city residents in different forms of participation?
Kannst du vielleicht schnell übersetzen? Siehst du irgendetwas?
Ja, also die Frage ist, wie hoch ist der Level of Partizipation in deinem Projekt? Und wie kannst du das verbessern, dass mehr Leute mitmachen?
Aha, okay, ja.
Danke.
Thank you very much, Tomasz, for the question, and thanks, Werner, for the translation. Yeah, so I think also regarding the question that was discussed before, as I said before, I mean, it always depends on the project itself. In the climate idea, we tried to do something like co-creation, so a rather high level of participation, and then also to transmit the power of implementation back to the people that proposed the ideas. What I consider to be also crucial regarding participation is the question how to, and that was discussed before already, how to reach groups of people that maybe are more shy or are not as willing as other people to participate actually, and how can you reach them? How can you maybe also encourage them to participate and to provide to them the necessary information for them to be motivated to be a part of these projects? And this is certainly something that's difficult. But when we, for example, organized our sounding boards, when we developed the climate, we always had between 40 and 60 people in the city hall, and it was pretty interesting to see that like 80% of these people always were the same. So it's always a bit of the same people that are interested, that are active in these projects, and that are also willing to contribute. Yeah, so this is definitely a very crucial thing, and all we can do also with limited resources is to try to activate all the channels we have using the city, the official city communication, like as I said before, media announcements, etc., social media, but also contact people directly. But I find it very interesting, and I heard that Zurich did something like that once to just put some couches into a neighborhood and invite people to participate in a discussion, and maybe like that bring them then also to contribute more deeply regarding a certain project activity. So yeah, it binds a lot of resources certainly, but it's also worthwhile because participative, elaborated results are, in our opinion, more robust. In the end, they are also more accepted. And when they are criticized, in the end, you can also always say, see, we had a participation project. You actually had the possibility to also contribute, and it's like a democratic, elaborated project result.
Leonor, jeszcze bardzo proszę.
Leonor?
Yeah, maybe to add also something on this question of how to reach out to groups of people which are more difficult to activate than others. I think first the place, if you make some events, the place where they happen is crucial. For example, the symbolic of making it in a public building can already make some people afraid or disencourage some people to come. So I think that the place is a very important topic on how to activate difficult groups which are difficult to reach out. And so my insight is really go get the people where they are. Like not to wait that people have to actively find the information and actively go somewhere, but also to try, for example, as we tried with the exhibition in public space, to identify a place where lots of people pass by and just activate this already existing pattern to foster some kind of dialogue. Or to get the information right in people's mailbox so that they actually get it. Yeah.
That's very important. We in the climate idea, in our city districts and the neighborhoods, we have different associations actually that care for the people that live there. And our contractor actually, on behalf of us, obviously contacted these associations, and they, like in their baseline activities, they organize events, they invite the people, they want to know what are the needs, of course, but they also offer things. And the contractor then went there, they presented our project, and like that try to reach the people. So it's indeed very important, I think so as well, to go there where the people are actually, and to try like that to trigger a process within the framework of a participation process.
Bardzo wam dziękuję za podzielenie się takimi.
Thank you so much for sharing all these practical issues and an experience. And the last point of our seminar is to sum up the meeting. So here I would like to pass the microphone to Tomasz Podkański, Deputy Chairman of the Association of Polish Cities. I know it's always a challenge to summarize an event like this, especially taking into account so many interesting things that were mentioned here. So the floor is yours. I hope you are up to the challenge.
Czy słychać mnie?
Bardzo
I
dobrze.
hope you can hear me.
Bardzo dziękuję, bo mówię z rezerwowego komputera dzisiaj.
Thank you so much. I'm not using my usual computer, so I'm a little uncertain about technological issues. I'd like to very much thank our Swiss friends and colleagues for this fantastic seminar. The Local Development Forum is an important part of the Polish-Swiss program for development of towns. And since this project is now starting and will be ongoing for the next 4 years, we've decided that the first few seminars, starting with the one today devoted to the public participation, will only be based on the presentation of Swiss experience, so that our Polish colleagues can receive the maximum knowledge and education, what they can expect from Switzerland in different areas of managing in the sphere of local authorities. Just as Tomasz Kaiser, our moderator, has already said, we started with participation, for which Switzerland is famous, and we're definitely not disillusioned. I'm very grateful for all the speakers, our colleagues from the ENCO Consortium, ENCO Urban Plan Consortium, for preparing this seminar. It was a great content. And as usual, I would like to comment and sum up the subsequent presentation. Of course, these would be my individual conclusions, but I hope you find it interesting, all of you, the Polish and the Swiss participants. Starting with Caroline Huwiler's presentation on the Swiss system of decision-making, I'd like to say that we do not have such deeply rooted and long-lasting tradition of local democracy, because ours only dates back to 35 years, but the traditions of the self-organization of local communities in Poland are definitely much older. For our program that is planned for the next 4 years, it is important that the legal system in Poland allows for the use of all the tools that you have discussed in the context of Switzerland, which is very important. As representatives of local governments in Poland, we're convinced
i generalnie jesteśmy się bardzo zadowoleni. Natomiast nasi mieszkańcy są mniej zadowoleni, oni są zawsze
that the residents
w swoich oczekiwaniach, oczekują
always expect more from us than they can get. This is normal. This is how the political culture develops step by step in the developed countries. Nonetheless, it poses a certain challenge to catch up with the needs, and your experience that you shared with us has been very helpful. What is crucial is that we have the same legal possibilities, and we're also quite advanced already, so it will be easier to introduce your experiences into practice. Ms. Christine Amici-Robon has discussed deliberative democracy with the use of citizen assemblies. I'm very happy to hear that such assemblies take place in Poland. They were started by Gdańsk, then Wrocław, Warsaw, other cities by now, I'm sure. I'm happy that this is a form of participation that provides for a very merit-based discussion also in the smaller cities or towns. And I hope that within the scope of our project, it will be also these smaller towns that apply these experiences in their practice. I'd like to thank Mr. Werner Lichtenhorn from Zurich for showing how important is the role played by the informal initiatives. This is a huge unused potential in our cities and towns. And I've taken some notes, for example, that informal participatory processes are part of administrative culture in Swiss cities and towns, which is of crucial importance, and we need to aim at reaching the same level as far as possible. These guidelines elaborated in Zurich 19 years ago, I understand have been updated on a permanent basis, supplemented, and I believe that this digital form is just an addition to the analog form, I believe. What is more, the platform that supports participatory projects, there are many platforms like this that are generally individualized in Poland. Each city has their own. I'm very happy that Warsaw and Gdańsk have also been testing the one you mentioned in Zurich. Zurich is, of course, a large city, whereas Karusz, mentioned by Ms. Leonor Stangerlin, offers a different perspective, a middle-sized town, very useful example in Poland, I believe. And I particularly paid attention to this array of tools applied in Karusz, and I know that it can be fully adopted in Poland. I'm sure that we'll draw on this experience in our project, and I'm sure our towns will easily apply these methods as well. But I also wanted to point to what Ms. Leonor said.
Mieszkańcy są ekspertami w stosunku do swojej miejscowości, bo tam mieszkają. Zwróciła również uwagę na wartość dialogu demokratycznego.
In the participation. Yes, you're right. Residents are experts
samorządzie.
where they live.
Sami zapisaliśmy jako
But
obywatele,
after
że
35 years,
mieszkańcy tworzą
we do not
wspólnotę, mieszkańcy gminy tworzą wspólnotę samorządową i dlatego ta wartość dyskusji demokratycznej w ramach wspólnoty samorządowej jest ogromna. Musimy o tym pamiętać, również dlatego, że to rzeczywiście wzmacnia spójność społeczną. Bo wzmacnia to spójność społeczną, a także wzmacnia bliskość i zaufanie władz i mieszkańców. To buduje poczucie przynależności do społeczności lokalnej.
It helps the people to feel part of the local community.
I tak jak powiedział na końcu pan Tomasz
So
Kaiser,
I believe that the array of tools presented by Karusz can be fully implemented, as I said, in Poland. And as Mr. Tomasz Kaiser said, our culture at the level of institutions, but also the culture of the discussion, what was also discussed in the is high enough, I believe, that we can use in Mr. Claudio Kumli's position was speech was very interesting. The participatory budget. This is something we've been using in Poland obligatorily in the 68 largest Polish cities. This is demanded, required by law, but also in hundreds of cities and municipalities, also districts. It is used despite not being obligatory there. An interesting tool Mr. Claudio mentioned, speaking of TUN, is that before the last vote, there was a possibility to combine the discussion and a similar project in one, which is very important because in Poland, if we vote on the participatory budget, sometimes has become a culture of confrontation. Who outvotes the other person and not which tools are the best for the local society. And also, Ms. Seidel's presentation, the speed dating is also very interesting and very valuable because the problems in the field of thermal modernization of our communal and housing private resources definitely pose a challenge. And you have found a very interesting and way to help individual owners. Also in the future work, I would like to know how to make sure that certain technologies, certain solutions, certain providers are not prioritized, how to stay impartial at the same time helping the residents take part in this important process of energetic transition and coping with its consequences. So thank you very much to all the participants, to Maren Kornman, Nina Dauch, and Kinga Frank for your effort in preparing this great seminar. And on behalf of the entire Polish team, I'm very grateful to our Swiss colleagues for their great presentations. I'm sure we'll use them to the fullest in the forthcoming years. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for these comments, for these merit-based additions. And just to finish, we have three things to communicate. First of all, I'd like to ask all of you to put down the date of the 25th of April. That's when the next seminar, Polish-Swiss Program for Development of Cities, the next forum will be to the balanced mobility. This is a very important topic. Just as Tomasz Podkański has said before, we're going to look at it.
Po drugie, chciałem Państwa bardzo prosić o zauważenie, że na czacie macie link do ankiety ewaluacyjnej. Bardzo nam zależy na Państwa opiniach i uwagach.
And of course, we want to know your opinions. We'll send you a questionnaire, so we'll be very grateful for your answers. And also, I want to remind you that all the data is available on the website of the Association of Polish Cities. So the registration for the next seminars and the data from today's seminar will be available on the website very soon. So you'll be able to revisit these topics. Thank you very much for your time discipline. I thank especially our panelists, our speakers, our partners from the ENCO Urban Plan Consortium, who helped us organize today's meeting. I thank our translators of the sign language and of the English language, and also all the technical support staff who have been with us in the studio. You can't see them, but this is the team that has been helping us with this seminar. Thank you so much for your attention, for your presence, and let's meet again very soon. Thank you so much.